everyone, it's Sejal, the host of the Lazy Gal podcast. I've been kind of sick this week, and I know I was sick like literally last episode, but it happens. And I'm like finally feeling better, so this episode will be filmed the day it's released at literally 10 p.m. I really like this episode. I think I might release a blog post based on this, like just because of the information it has. And in my opinion, it's easier to refer to blog posts than podcast episodes. And really, like scrubbing through the thing to find exactly what something was said is like so much like work. Like literally, oh, what timestamp was it? So if you're interested in a blog post, I'll have a poll on that down below. So lately it's just been study, 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 eat, maybe work out, study some more, and trace enough code to think about literal, simple life to life actions as if they're in Java syntax. But luckily, that part of my studying is over, but I still have more to go, so. I'm actually really happy and proud though, because I don't think I've ever been this active during like a busy month like this with finals and everything and plus my birthday and other events. So, you know what? Hey, consistency is coming slowly. Like I mentioned in my last episode, if you fail consistency, you fail reaching your goals. I've also posted on my Instagram and tweeted some more recently. Both are at the lazy underscore lazy gal, and they're linked down below in the show notes as well, like in every episode. So feel free to connect, which is what this episode is all about: how to build connections as a student. Before that, let's finish our segment routine. I have read one book since the last episode, and that book was read this morning in like 2 hours. Emily Henry, who's an author I really like, released a new book last month, The Happy Place. And of course, with everyone reading it and rating it so highly, I was like, I have to read this. And so I like texted a friend of mine, and she lent it to me. Thank you, Addie. And it was good. Some parts I wasn't like completely with the main character on her actions, and like the time jumps confused me a bit, like from the past to present, future kind of thing. And I don't like spoil the book, so I'm gonna keep it a little bit short. But I think the main reason I didn't really relate with the main character on this is because the experiences she's gone through isn't really what I've gone through. Like, I would have never dated someone for 8 years, so, like, who am I to judge? If you read this book, let me know what you think of it. A lot of people have said this is one of Emily Henry's top books, but I personally like Book Lovers more, and I know that's kind of controversial, and maybe I'll reread Book Lovers when I have time and make that decision, which one I think is the best. As for music, nothing really has like changed. My main playlist is linked in the show notes if anyone would like to judge my music taste, but no one tell me because I will block you. But let me know some of your favorite artists and or songs. I love listening to new music at times. I'm still in love with iced matcha lattes and sushi. Super yum. Kind of scared to experiment in like Starbucks, but like I also don't drink much Starbucks and it's like gotten colder, so I haven't drank many cold drinks. I really haven't made any at home either, so dead end. Content wise, this is the second content piece I have released in the study series. The first one was a blog post on my favorite top 7 study tools that got me a 4.0 GPA. I'll of course link it down below, and I'll probably add like all the links for the rest of the content as I release it. I might add it to my link tree or something, maybe have an extra like card, that kind of thing. I have a content creator profile I created last week or this week with my email newsletters like featured. So if you want to see a preview of them, they're again linked in the show notes. I just sent my monthly newsletter for May yesterday, and if you want to be a receiver of the June newsletter, links for all my freebies to sign up are also down below in the show notes. As for content not made by me, a podcast I'm a fan of is at Commit to Connection. I found her podcast through Instagram, and Annalise, the host, is so nice and enlightening, and she's on Apple Music and Spotify, so give her podcast a listen. Link down below again. Her recent episode on nudges and not being scared of approaching people and making connections is an amazing episode, especially if you want to make connections more in real life and in person where you are a setting where you kind of are anxious about meeting new people and what they think. I think this episode is a really great way to create a newer mindset about that. I've also been watching more YouTube videos because of my social media cleanse, which I don't think I've like mentioned before. Basically, I deleted all my personal social media, like TikTok and Instagram, which are like literally the only ones I use for like me. I'm selective on my like lazy gal Instagram, but I try not to get like lost in the feed. And I've been like pretty good at like regulating myself. And when I'm like bored and I see Instagram, I do my best not to press on it just to scroll. And also like a lot of my content in that on that is based off of making more content, and it's more like blogger podcaster based, so it's not really like hard to stop myself from binge watching a bunch of reels on how to make good content, in my opinion, which I like appreciate based on my feed. I only have Twitter for blogging purposes. I don't like use Facebook. And I don't really consider Pinterest social media in a sense because I never really doom scrolled on Pinterest, but I have been opening that app more than before. Anyway, so I found this YouTuber. I say like found as if he's like underground, but he has like 200K subs. Anyways, his name is Saji Sharma, and that's like his YouTube and social handles. But I really enjoy his content, and he's a collab with a lot of my other favorite YouTubers. So check him out if you like commentary videos. He's collab with Jacob Sharp, Curtis Connor, Jarvis Johnson, and like so many more. Like I watched a bunch of videos this weekend, and like let's give it a listen. That's it for that. I have some more study content planned, so be on the lookout for that. Now let's get into building connections. One of the hardest things to do is standing out, especially when you feel as if you haven't done anything to stand out. But let me tell you something. You can connect with people even if you feel like you're just like everyone else because you're not. You think of things differently, you act differently, you process things differently, and that makes you a different person. And it's hard putting yourself out there, especially when you lack the confidence or when you have really big imposter syndrome. And if you guys want me to make an episode on overcoming imposter syndrome and really how to navigate life through with that, let me know. Trinity Tondelier, the host of the Wellness Cafe, also has a podcast episode on that, so give that a listen if you are struggling with imposter syndrome. But I'm here to tell you that it's possible. And here's what you need to do: get LinkedIn. I know so many of my classmates who don't have a LinkedIn. And if you're someone that falls into that category, LinkedIn is the best place to be if you want to build connections, if you want to learn, boast, be humbled, start a portfolio foundation, and so much more. But what is LinkedIn? LinkedIn is a social networking platform that is designed specifically for the business and professional community. It was founded in 2002 and is currently the world's largest professional networking site on the internet, with over 750 million registered members in more than 200 countries. LinkedIn allows registered members to create a personal profile, build a professional network by connecting with other members, search for jobs or opportunities, obtain industry insights and news, and publish and share their own content. So, why do you need to be on LinkedIn? Especially if you're a younger student who doesn't really want to be in that high end professional world. Well, LinkedIn is also a popular platform for job seekers and recruiters, with more than 30 million companies represented on the platform and over 20 million job listings available at any given time. So, even if you're looking for an entry level job or internship, LinkedIn is the perfect place to scour. It doesn't have to be overwhelming or like a big place where there's so many things going on. And that's true, it could be overwhelming, especially when you see people from so many directions and walks of life talking about themselves. But you need to focus on what you want. Look specifically for internships. Search for keywords like entry level job, tech internships, medical internships, investing internships, financial internships, entry level business jobs, such things like that. Curate the feed to work for you. But what else can LinkedIn do for you? Well, think about this. Have you ever ran for a leadership position or applied for something and they ask you about your experience and you know you have some, but you can't exactly remember what you did or where and what you volunteered for? LinkedIn is here for you. You can add professional roles and experiences to your profile and volunteer experience as well. This way, next time you're filling something out, just open LinkedIn and half of your job is done. Not only can colleges and companies see what you've done, what you learned, and the impact, but so can you. It's so easy to forget all we accomplished, and like I said in my last episode, if you want to accomplish more, first appreciate what you've already done. Because if you're not like content with yourself and you're not satisfied with what you've already done, you'll never really be satisfied in the future. It's not going to change. Like you'll keep on continuing to be unsatisfied, wanting more when you've already done enough and you really feel like you're underappreciated when you've never appreciated yourself in the first place. And not only that, but there are so many ways to connect on LinkedIn, from following and connecting with other students and professionals, liking or commenting on posts, being able to message connections you would have really never met in any other way, learning about new opportunities, and being inspired to do more. In my LinkedIn profile, which I'll link down below if like anyone wants to have like some inspiration or just connect, I have the hashtags, which are the main topics I talk about, such as wellness, productivity, and I also have like a simple bio. And then you scroll down, you can see my About Me page, my featured posts, LinkedIn activity, experience, volunteering, awards, etc. It's a great place for students because you can add your scores and your awards. It's a great place for people looking to be in the job, looking for a job because you can add your experiences and like post about yourself. You can add publications, you can add articles you've written, and so much more. It's really like a great place to just have a neat and organized portfolio. And I know this is like sounding like I'm sponsored by LinkedIn, but I'm not. I wish though. So after you've created your account and made it a bit more human with a good profile picture, no like awkward selfies, blurry photos, group photos, inappropriate settings. This is a like professional platform. So something that you're flipping off the camera is not really giving anyone a good professional vibe. Don't have pictures of you in front of the Golden Gate Bridge while you're like literally the smallest part of the photo. That's not giving a good impression. People want to talk with someone who they think are like them, like are human. And if you feel like you're always talking to the Golden Gate Bridge, I can assure you that's not really going to help you in the future. And also add a good bio with a header. Make sure you talk simply and you get straight to the point in your bio. Like mine, I write coder, writer, blogger, content creator. That's just who I am. And for you, you can write incoming junior looking for internships or just stuff like that that really gives someone like a short little snappy piece of who you are kind of. And you can always write more and elaborate more in your About Me page. And maybe a post or two and your like qualifications updated. Even if you don't have a lot, post about what you want to accomplish is a good starting point. So I've talked a lot about how LinkedIn is like a really good place to build up that profile and connect with others. But please don't forget that you can take a break because LinkedIn can also be very toxic. It's hard when you're not getting any job like applications back. You're getting rejected here and there, not getting accepted, but everyone else is. And that is so dismantling, that is so discouraging to you because you're really trying hard. You're filling up all the applications, you're going through the internet, you're reaching out, you're doing everything and more, but still you are not getting accepted, but everyone else seems like they are. So LinkedIn can also be a very toxic place, but remember that I think I mentioned this in my last episode as well, is that you see someone on step 20 like 5, but you're just on step 5. Like you don't know that they've been rejected by all these internships way before you even learned about them. These people have probably gone through like a lot of scouring, a lot of months of rejection before they got something, and you may have to go through the same thing to reach where they are. So don't compare yourself with someone even if they are the same age as you, the same grade, whatever. Like people have different situations and experiences in life, and I'll talk more about that privilege later on. So if LinkedIn is getting to be toxic, just tell yourself I'll go on it once a week, maybe twice a month, and whatever I've done, like I'll just update it then and there. Maybe if you want, you can also write in your notes a like short recap so you can just put them all at once. I know it's kind of easy to go to the explore page and just keep on scrolling and you're like, "Oh my god, I have done none of these. I have not even heard of these programs. These people are releasing publications and going on the news, and all of a sudden they've met the president, and I'm here in my room not meeting the president." So just take what is needed and leave the rest because literally you don't have to be a LinkedIn expert 24/7 online. Like, it's just a place for you to build a profile. The second part is follow like minded people. And make sure that your profile is worth following back. No one is going to follow you back if you look like a ghost profile. The whole point of connecting is connecting. And if you don't know who you're connecting with, why would you? So add a name and a face to that name. Add your personality enough that people are interested, but not too much that it becomes more of like an Instagram than a LinkedIn. So after you've connected with classmates, co-workers, alumni, family, etc., start working on following others on different platforms. Like let's say that you found a lot of doctors that you're interested in LinkedIn, you like their practice. Maybe see if they have a TikTok or an Instagram where they post tips on how they reached that position in their life. On Instagram, you can follow hashtags like hashtag law school, hashtag law student, hashtag life as a lawyer. You can follow top law schools or alumni, lawyers you look up to. And just so you can start like slowly curating a feed that makes you excited about your future And I've tend to see that a lot of people have just random viral posts on their social media, and that leads to a lot of doom scrolling and wasting time. But if you have like curated ideas about what you want to be, you're not only more likely to be motivated, but you're less likely to doom scroll on looking at law schools. So social media can be used as a tool for you to succeed, and there are like so many resources on there, majority being free. Please don't fall for scams. I have a post on 7 ways to look for brand scams and how to stop falling for them. I'll link those in the show notes as well. So, following people who post about improving in your field or just in general, like it's just if you have reminders throughout the day, especially on platforms that you go on a lot, like let's say you really go on TikTok or Instagram or Twitter a lot, and you keep on seeing, oh, top 10 ways I got into a law school, or this is how I got into my dream residency. That helps you really think about your future other than doom scrolling on a bunch of people falling down and laughing about it. So it's more likely to follow through with something. Step three, or like number three, send out some DMs in the next week or so. So now that you've hopefully created an account, you can, and you have followed back people, like you can do the next step. Give it a couple of days for people to connect back until you DM them. Waiting a bit also lowers the likeliness of you coming off as a spam account. So you're not DMing someone right away. Like everyone has at least been followed once and then DM'd, hey, I need help. Could you follow this link and give me your password? Like, obviously, you're not going to be DMing someone that, but it's like you connect with someone right after they DM you and you're like, oh my God, what do they want? So make sure you have a good first impression, because if you don't, it's likely they'll think of you badly and probably unconnect if you keep on having bad impressions. Be professional, but don't be too formal. Or you sound like a rehearsed bot that's like, hey, I'm this and this. I do this and this. So say something like, hello, I'm Sejal, and I'm interested in technology and becoming a software engineer. And I saw on your profile that you were an expert in software engineer and that you work, for example, Apple. And I was wondering if you could share what you did or what courses you've learned that help you reach that spot, or if you could maybe advise me on things that I could do currently as a college student, high school student, whatever. And if you don't have like questions or you don't really want to connect with them in DMs, like I get that. There's so many other ways to do it. You can comment on any post they have. Like let's say they comment on some new job application that opened or something new that they have achieved and be like, oh, good job, that's so wonderful. Or, oh, how did you do that? People love to talk about themselves and what they've accomplished. So if you just like kind of like ask them about that, not only do you learn more about that, but that person's more inclined to help you. And try to like purposely connect with people and make sure you're being polite. If you're a aspiring lawyer, like for example, again, you would probably connect with majority of lawyers. And of course, I'm not saying that you can't not connect with people who aren't lawyers, but make sure you are mainly connecting with lawyers and make sure you're again being polite and connect with people that you're really interested in connecting with and keep up that connection. And maybe hint that it would be great if they reviewed a project or something that you worked on and created it. Maybe even an idea that you have. For example, let's go back to technology. You're thinking of building this app, and some guy, some person inspired you on LinkedIn. You could be like, planning on creating this app, blah, 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 inspired by, and tag that person. And people are probably more likely to reply. And it's not like weird. Like if they're a person who's an expert in that field and has posted impactful content on it, they're probably going to expect people to be inspired by the content they post, and they're probably going to be happy about it. So again, just try it. Ask for the people you should be DMing and connecting with. Again, like people in similar fields. Also, a good idea is to follow students who have graduated recently, alumni to colleges you're interested, students who are going to colleges you want to go to, uh, people who work at the job you want, or just in the field, like mentioned before. Students in higher education of those fields are great people to ask. Not only because they're less intimidating, but they probably relate a lot more. They once were where you were, and a lot more recently. A lot has changed in some fields from the early 2000s to now. So if you're asking someone who has graduated a decade or two back, and while they might seem like they are in a really good role in that, area or that field, it's probably because back then it was a lot maybe easier or a lot more different to get into that position than it is now. So asking someone who has more recently gone to the hardships that you have, they probably have more relevant advice. and it's like more likely to be applicable to you. A majority of younger people in those fields are also more likely to be active on social media, especially if they're looking for jobs and internships. So they're also more likely to reply back as well compared to someone who is not really on LinkedIn, mainly because they have a comfortable job and there's not really like a big reason until they're a recruiter themselves to really go on LinkedIn or other social media. Attend events. Attending events that your school hosts, even if you think it's pointless, is a good idea. You never know who you might meet. It's worth to just go and take a peek. Oh, am I like rhyming? Okay. Make some connections. Those people want to recruit, so they're a lot more interested in you than someone random on the internet that you kind of like, hey. So show them your profile, what you've done, and ask what else you can do. These events are crucial if you want to connect with people you would never normally see because you're probably not going to go to a store and be like, hey, are you a Cisco recruiter? Again, so career fairs, for example, or field opportunities, you just have to know the right moves, when to make them, how to make them. Don't say no, even if you think you'll get nothing from it. A lot of events and activities seem pointless, and they sometimes are, I'll agree, but it doesn't hurt to have a few under your belt. Let me give you an example. Let's say you're going to a job interview or a college interview, whatever, and there's two scenarios. One, you volunteered at an animal shelter, and the interviewer loves animals and also volunteers at animal shelters a lot. What a coincidence. This is a great way to connect with someone, especially someone who you want to like you. Bonding over things that show good characteristics about you, and also the interviewer is more likely to remember you because they have more of a personal connection than just, oh, job interview number 576. So the second scenario is that you didn't. You didn't feel like going somewhere early on the weekend. You didn't think volunteering was important, and I get that. Sometimes you're just so tired that waking up at 7 in the morning to work after you've literally worked all week is not fun. But sometimes just plan your week out a bit more so you have Thursday, Friday, maybe a bit more of a free day so you gotta relax before you hit the shelter, hit wherever you're planning on volunteering. And volunteering, yes, is less important sometimes, but also colleges, jobs, they love seeing giving to the community, and they also love seeing some things about you that they normally wouldn't see in your other applications. And there's also like a lack of contributing to your community in their perspective sometimes, and also a lost chance of connecting with your interviewer. Now, there's not like a big chance every person that you are going to interview with are instantly connected to your resume. And of course, that's not like any base of a good job or getting hired, but it certainly helps when you and the interviewer have a interest together. Especially, like, I remember one of my friends telling me a story where this guy spoke Russian, and he spoke a lot of languages, and the person interviewing him also spoke Russian. So they had a little talk in Russian, bonded a bit more, and maybe the interviewer remembered that person. But here's another version of that. If the person did say they spoke Russian, but they did not, or if they said they speak Russian fluently, but they know like 3 sentences, not only is the interviewer going to realize that you are lying very fast, they'll also think about what other things you discredited in your resume, even if you didn't. So, always two sides of a coin. Participate in online groups. To connect with others, you have to go out of your way to find places to connect sometimes. Like online groups such as Quora, Reddit, Stack Overflow, they all have so many little groups that should be for the most part, appropriate and healthy. Like I know a lot of medical groups are there, technology groups. So add info, be a presence online and be a good one. Be a help to others and not a troll because if people start seeing you just spamming their comments just because, I don't know, like you want to just be in their minds, there's a high chance you might get kicked out. So always research before you be a presence online. So if you're going to advise someone, especially on something like the medical field, and you're telling them the correct way to do surgery, but you have never read a post on how to do surgery, like I said, like someone's going to realize you're wrong. Someone's going to realize you're wrong. So connect with those people on other platforms as well, especially with people that are giving you good advice and that you have had like a couple of conversations with them and be like, hey, this is my LinkedIn. If you want to connect, just connect. So, it doesn't hurt. If they say no, they say no. You can compete sometimes in these online groups. They have like mini challenges, mini competitions, like hackathons, for example. So, even if you don't win, even if you literally leave after half of it, that's better than not going to it at all. And again, something to put in your LinkedIn. I participate in this competition. If you won, even better. So, and like also when you compete in more of these events, you also see what other people are doing, and you not only see that, but you also meet other people, and there's a high chance that you might connect with them as well, and then you have your little community. And it's great to have it on LinkedIn and other profiles just in case like the group you're on like disbands or something happens. So you always have kind of a connection with them. And ask people for advice. Like you shouldn't feel like you're less than someone just because you have to ask for advice. So if you ask someone, "Hey, how did you do that?" And some people don't like to say things. I get that too. Like it's a competitive world. Some people like to say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't feel comfortable sharing that." That's fine. Be like, "Oh, no problem." Move on. Don't try to convince them. Don't call them names. People have their boundaries. And if you don't like appreciate that, that's something you should be looking at, my guy. So, how to connect and build connections with staff. Go to their office hours. If you want to build connections with these people, you have to build it. So, you don't just pop in once in a while. You go to office hours, you go to whatever like sessions they have, you talk with them, you maybe ask them about like the subject, of course. If they're busy, don't like waste their time. If they like gardening, don't just bring up gardening when they have like 20 other people that they need to help. Talk more during classes at appropriate times. Don't just talk because that's not like a good way to have an impression on someone. But just like talk with the teacher, maybe participate in group decisions. Nothing is more discouraging, disheartening when you ask a question and there's 30 like five people in that room and not a single one raises their hand or looks you in the eye. So even if you feel like people might think you're goody two shoes, think about who really matters. The teacher who might be writing your recommendation letter or the student you will never see again. So don't ask stupid questions, just ask them. Yeah, you should ask questions, especially if you're confused, but you shouldn't ask a question the teacher just said like 2 seconds ago. Like, this assignment is due Monday. You raise your hand and you ask, what day is it due? Yeah, that's not how you build a connection. Be self aware. There are so many students that have a misconstrued perceptions of themselves. They think of them too highly or the opposite. Oh, I've done this, I've done that. Be self aware of what you've done, the impact. Be humble. There's nothing worse than someone who will not shut up about themselves or brag about things. Like, of course, be proud of it, but if you're always talking about something you did or things that you did so much better than someone else, just shut up, my guy. Like, yeah, maybe you built an app that a lot of people use. Maybe you blew up on YouTube one day. It's nice to say it once or twice, but literally after that, no one cares. And it's so unfair because there's so many different people there's so many different things that people are experiencing. And just because you have that opportunity, it doesn't mean that everyone else can. Like, yes, good for you. You reached out and you did it. You worked hard. Yes, you should mention it here and there, add it to your experiences, but it's also good to stay private. I made a reel on my Instagram about that and I said, like, a simple reminder is to stay private. If haters don't know what they're hating on, they simply can't hate, and it's true. Stop giving people the opportunity to wish you the worst. Stop giving people the opportunity to pray for your downfall, literally. Act silently and let the results and impact speak for themselves. And I get it. Like, it's hard to sometimes, like, when you're excited about something, you want to tell someone. Of course, tell your friends, tell your family, tell your close friends, but don't go posting about it everywhere. Don't be like, oh, hey, guess what? Guess what? Guess what? And do you know what the worst part is? Is when you say all of this and you don't follow through. Because not only is it so embarrassing because you've boasted about this for everyone, and everyone's like, oh, well, like, are you going to do it? Because you talked about it like for months and you never did it. And you also like get discouraged because people are expecting so much for you and you don't follow through. So the next time you do something, you're less likely to like actually do it because like, oh, what if I disappoint everyone? So don't set up high expectations for everyone else to think about you when you first need to work up. You need to have the thing is people need to make these expectations for you by themselves, not because you boasted about it. And it's especially important to be self aware when you're privileged to have this opportunity. If a family member or a family friend got you an internship or a job shadow, be aware of the fact that yes, you did work hard. There's no discredit to your work, but you also had a leg up from everyone else. And it's shitty to act like you work so much harder, or you're so much better when someone else is working equally as hard and has as much determination as you, but doesn't have familial connections like that. Like, yes, it's true. You did that. You worked for it. Yes, good job. Like I've said this before. But it is so unfair when especially like let's say on LinkedIn for example, like you are working every day, you even have a 90, you have a job, part-time job, you're in school, you're taking care maybe of siblings or whatever, and like you're just taking care of yourself, and you hear someone saying like, "Oh yeah, I got this internship, bro. It was so easy. I can't believe no one like cares enough to sign up for, like I'm the only one that really cares about this field, whatever." Like you have no idea what people are going through, and the fact that you like rub it in people's faces is such a shitty thing to do. Like just take a step back, be self-aware of who you are and think, "Oh, like I am in the position of privilege. My parents can pay for this. They can pay for that, or I can pay for this." And yes, like we've all worked hard for this. Like if your parents have are immigrants, like yes, they have worked hard for this, but you're still at a higher position than someone who does not have access to that type of money or resources. So instead of really being like, "Oh yeah, I got this and that," yes, you did, but it's okay to maybe not tell everyone you meet. So this is like a really uh it's kind of like a guide on how to build connections as a student. And I know it's hard, especially when you're busy with so many assignments and stuff, that the last thing you want to do is extra work. But maybe set like 15 minutes per week if LinkedIn isn't too toxic for you. 15 minutes per week. Just start like thinking about things that you want to write or want to share with the community. And you can just write posts, maybe add some few tags if you want to like build a community kind of on LinkedIn. Of course, you don't have to. You can just have a good profile so interviewers in colleges can see that. I would also say that when you connect with staff or people who are experts in that field or recruiters, that you give them some type of connection or you get a card from them. You can connect them on LinkedIn, and that's the good thing about LinkedIn is that it's so easy to talk to someone who seems like a big figure, authority figure in like the community. So let's say for example that there's a startup community and like you don't really like feel comfortable talking to person in person because like you just have social anxiety, or you feel like they'll think of you as like really weird or something. Give them a text on LinkedIn. Just shoot a little text. And you know what? If they are like, if it's kind of embarrassing after that, if they say something that you don't like or whatever, you don't really have to see them. Like, it's not like if they say, "Oh, I'm sorry, I don't have any more job recommendations," or they just don't answer your thing, like it's fine. It's not the end of the world. So just remember that building connections is important, but you can also build connections in a way that you want to build it. You don't have to walk up to someone that you've never met and be like, "Hey, this is my card," because like self promotion is good, but at the same time, too much self promotion sounds like the person who's not self aware of themselves. So just go through that, think about what you could do, have a little plan, maybe write that, okay, so after like my finals or whatever, I will create a LinkedIn account or I will update my LinkedIn account, and maybe go through maybe pictures that you've taken or emails that you've sent about different volunteering opportunities that you've done, because it's hard to like remember sometimes. So just have that kind of going on, and then always think about other people that you connect with that would help you or benefit you in the future. So that's it for this episode. Hope you guys enjoyed it. I will see you soon. Bye, guys.